Hello my friends, today you are watching the Better Future project where we are all about spreading positivity, sharing knowledge and having a good time together. So how do we choose companies? What companies do we choose? How are we building the portfolio that we are currently building? So what Tesla can teach us about investing and what Tesla is doing to stay ahead. Things are falling as the dominoes and we can see that the pieces are actually coming together. Let's talk about what has happened and what is currently happening and why Tesla is so goddamn ahead. Okay? The first thing is, when Tesla came around, they were having problems and issues, but what they focused on wasn't how the car is looking outside, even though it was planned, but the gaps were there between the panels and there was interior designer mistakes and there was complaints. However, Sandy Muro opened the hood and said, oh my gosh, when he saw the marvelous improvements of Tesla cars, he was just speechless. You can look at his videos. I highly recommend them. The guy knows what he's talking about. But how come in 20 years time Tesla became one of the best, and according to me and a few other specialists, the very best? Well, it seems out that the overall efforts that Tesla is putting is the pace of innovation. Elon Musk is talking about it and he says, hey, we know you can have our patents because until you actually apply them, until you actually build your new lines, new systems in place, if we continue to innovate, you basically never catch up. And actually this is very true. So when I'm choosing a company to invest in, I'm literally looking at what these companies are doing, how good they are, what types of contacts they've got, and of course, what edge do they have? Because the edge they have today means nothing tomorrow. Of course, it could, but if another company is innovating faster, at a higher speed, they're investing crazy amount of money in their capex, and of course, research and development, then I'll really look into them. Why are they investing that crazy amount of money into producing new products, services, or of course improving the old one? So innovation doesn't happen on its own. It doesn't happen just because the time passes. If this was the case, until now we could have been back to the moon. Over more than 50 years and we still haven't been back on the moon. Why is that? Because innovation doesn't happen on its own. This is such a great lesson that you can look into it and you can see if innovation is happening, then you would like to be part of it. We can see now what China is doing. For the last 20 plus years, China is just making a history. Their economy is growing at a faster pace than any other economy. There are some exceptions, but overall, China's economy is just booming. They focused on manufacturing, on servicing, in bringing in products, materials, and all sorts of stuff from all over the world. Then they actually worked it in China and then sold it outside of China. They exported a lot of products at the rates that are really cheap. So they actually not only undermined the Western manufacturers, but also they started to produce a great quality products. And we can see this. The question here is, you as an investor, you have two companies, company A and company B. Both companies are, let's say, Clinic One. So these two companies are currently starting at the same year, they have the same turnover, and they are both with the same profits. Company A decides, okay, we are going to put more marketing. Company B decides, all right, we are going to put more money for R&D and capex. So in a short term, the company that puts more money for marketing will actually overtake the one that is putting more money for improving their services or diversifying their services or producing new types of services. So we are looking here at two different companies, and we can see that one of them is taking one route and the other one is taking another route. Me as an investor, I'm going to look into this and I'll say, okay, so what are they building? How are they going to overtake this one? And it's as simple as that. This company that is actually doing a capex now ended up with a product that they are selling, or they are actually taking that extra machine, let's say for carpet cleaning or even hoovering, and they have manufactured these amazing new machines. In a short period of time, their prices will drop off, but their margins will stay the same, potentially will go higher. With extra margins, even with less turnover, they will be either matching the other company or they will overtake. And it's a matter of time when actually this company is completely unable to compete with company B. Company A will struggle for few reasons. If they cut back on marketing while this company has superior products and cheaper price, then they will quickly start losing market share. And that's gonna be so impactful, because even if company A catches up with company B, then they will just be back where they start. But this company B is now going to be a lot bigger. If you look at the same way into any other legacy automaker, and then you have Tesla on the other hand side, you can literally see what happened into the last few years, especially into the last few years. When Tesla introduced gigacasting, no other company that is like a car manufacturer introduced anything close to that. Toyota has a lot of automation, a lot of robotics, and of course they are one of the biggest car manufacturers in the entire world. However, they don't have castings. They don't have gigacastings. So when Tesla came in and started to bring in these gigacastings, they wiped so much parts, and this saved on so much time. So it cut the time and it cut the place between point A and point B. Wow, these parts were used to be put together from different people. Cut on salaries, cut on square feet measured into the warehouse. So you looked at this and no one else was still paying attention. They've deleted so many parts, so many processes. Then I was thinking, wow, if this little car company there can actually do something like that, what happened with these guys? Why were they sleeping? And most of the reason is because the companies became too big. When the companies became too big, the pace of innovation is slowing down. It's difficult for these people to allocate the brightest and the best, and of course allocate them to innovation. For some reason, they just want to improve what they already have. This is their strategy. Okay, we've got a marketing. We would like to improve the results. So let's do A/B testing and see what sells more than Tesla, for example. And of course, their way is working, but you have to compete with companies that are working just like you. When you have on the other side Tesla, and you see what Tesla is currently doing with their pace of innovation, you will find out that these companies here, they stand no chance whatsoever. Let me put it that way. When Tesla had issues with the floor of a car and then the battery, what they decided to do, why don't we find a solution into the problem? The battery became the floor. So the seats are actually hooked up on top of the battery of the vehicle. So this saved time, this saved space, it deleted processes and parts and literally simplified how you put the car together. While Tesla did this, they obviously turned around and told the world. No one was still paying attention. Then they said, okay, maybe we can do the front part of the car, not just the rear one, with the gigacasting. And guess what? They did that. Of course, Toyota was denying that electric vehicles are going to be the future, so they just literally said, no, hydrogen, hybrids, there's so many other ways of propulsion for vehicles. we don't literally believe that a car that is literally electric is going to have any type of significant market share in the world. Well, look at what is happening now. Once these innovations happened, the prices for electric vehicles were really, really high. But instead of staying at that position while people are trying, or companies are trying to improve the vehicles, what actually happened is the models of cars and the numbers of their production went up. So you've got something called economy of scale. When Tesla started to improve and print more than 500,000 cars, then their gigafactories become very profitable. And this is where now things are getting really tricky for the rest of the vehicle manufacturers, because now Tesla has already those castings, but also what they did is they purchased these castings into the future. So even if you would like to buy castings like giga castings, you need to know where to buy it from. And also the company that is producing these giga castings don't have capacity to suddenly click magically with fingers and say, there you go, there you go, there you go, to all other car manufacturers and give them those castings. On top of that, when they get these castings, they will have another issue. The materials that the car is made of are specific, including inside you've got a special type of silicone that makes the possibility of bending and shaping possible, because otherwise you will end up with a crack during the giga casting. So what happened is Tesla did invest heavily into building new materials, into building new processes, into cutting old processes completely. And on top of that, once they put this, they still confine themselves into the same line of manufacturers that was created by Ford and Model 3. Now Tesla realizes this and they are saying, oh wow, we can definitely improve this. We can actually change how these parts are all happening. So instead of having the regular assembly line, we can build a completely new one. I'm saying this big story for you guys because I want you to understand that when Toyota and other car manufacturers finally took Tesla Model Y and Model 3 and they looked at it, they said, wow, this is absolutely engineering marvel. It is like a little miracle. The stuff they did, the way they did it, the materials they used, the new innovations, it's something that they have never seen before. And on top of that, what happens is they are now trying to catch up and trying to put these giga castings into their own manufacturing process. So it's gonna take probably about a year, maybe longer, until they actually make this possible. Until that time, Tesla already had the front part. These guys are still struggling to start using giga castings. Now, Tesla released obviously their patents, and we can see that people and other companies are looking into those and they're trying to improve. And what they decided to do is, okay, we are car manufacturers, these legacy ones. So let's see what Tesla is doing as a car company. But what they failed to see is that Tesla was investing and reinvesting and heavily continuing to put money into capex and of course R&D. But this was their plan. Everyone could read it. So the secret mastermind plan of Tesla is we're going to build a very expensive car, we are going to use the profits to build more affordable, and so on and so forward until they get to the mass market. So they can sell their vehicles that are absolutely safe, clean, and of course affordable throughout the globe. Now what happened is, these other engineers said, oh my gosh, this model is the best selling vehicle in the world. Not electric vehicle in the world. So while they're trying to get to the point where Tesla is now, and it's going to take them 2 to 3 years, Tesla is continuing to innovate. So the pace of innovation of this company is amazing. They are like, in some cases, 5 to 10 years ahead. So even if Tesla stops and they just continue to scale the number of cars, other companies will still need half a decade to a decade time to catch up with a new type of vehicle manufacturers like Tesla. So while Elon Musk is trying to say the second place is going to need a telescope to reach us, there was something more happening behind it, and that something more was amazing. Because while these guys are now trying to catch up with the batteries and the technology into the batteries and with the gigacastings and to the way how the car is getting together and whatnot to compete with Tesla, they're trying to compete, but Tesla doesn't stop at the same place. Tesla continues to move. So while these guys are trying to do that, Tesla suddenly appeared that they've put their compute chip into the cars with all the hardware for FSD, irregardless if the owners are going to purchase FSD or not. So what happened is now when they released years later, when they said, okay, everyone who has the right hardware can now have a free 1 month FSD version, no one else from the car manufacturers could do that. And they still can't. They still struggle to have even update over the air. So until, a year or two, when they manage to get the software engineers and specialists to build that little way of updating the vehicles over the air, then where is Tesla going to be? Because Tesla is not stopping. Actually, they are outpacing the speed they were developing, because within 20 years, they overpassed companies that are around from more than 100. So this has inertia, it has speed, it has momentum. In order to overtake Tesla, you need to speed up your company with a higher pace of innovation than Tesla currently is. But then Tesla turned around and they said, well, we are investing 10 billion in computer technology and capex and R&D and AI and whatnot. And suddenly, what of this stuff are car companies having? They have nothing to do with the Silicon Valley. They have nothing to do with AI engineers and other compute specialists and IT guys. They literally don't have this kind of people that can work into their vehicles. They do have, however, some progress onto it, but this wasn't their main focus. So while now these companies are trying to catch up with the gigacasting, Tesla came out and just said, hey guys, we have a new way to manufacture vehicles. We're currently planning to make our gigafactories and the new vehicle models that are about to come. Shout out to 8th of August. We are going to hear about the what should I say, like a cyber cap, or a new model of vehicles, Model 2. We're going to find out. But while everyone is waiting for that, Tesla has already put stuff into motion. So they're going to bring in a brand new model that has not been changed for over 100 years. And the assembly line will change how it works. There is still assembly line, don't get me wrong, but it will change the way the car is put together. Specific parts will be spread only once, the car will be put together only once, all other parts will be put on another places and they will come together, and it's called the unbox process. Actually, this new way of assembling cars together is so actually new that it does not exist at the moment. Which means while the legacy car makers are trying to scramble and actually get to the point to understand how to build electric motors and how to build batteries, and where to supply the minerals, and where to supply all the other nickel and cobalt and all sorts of other minerals, they are literally struggling with the idea to get this and put it into a pack and then scale. While they're still working on the batteries, Tesla is already working on the brains. And of course, we are going to hear for that. So thank you so much for watching today's episode. Make sure that when you invest into companies, you pay attention to what are they doing now. How much are they putting into R&D and CapEx? why they are putting that much money and what they're after. Because if they are just improving their regular service, something is really wrong. They should come out with new ways of doing things. They should come up with new services, with new products that are superior to the products and services that we currently see onto the market. Thank you so much for watching. If you like my content, you make sure that you subscribe, you like this video, put some comment down below, especially if you have any thoughts onto that process. And then in time, I'm going to show you again my portfolio, and I will pick up a few stocks and I'll say why I'm investing in them. And of course, one of my main KPIs or key performance indicators in this case is exactly that. The capex and of course the R&D. What are they investing in? How much they're investing in? What is the next goal? How is that new thing that is coming going to improve the overall company performance? Thank you for watching today's episode. If you're a fan of the channel, you can contribute small monthly amounts on Patreon. This will help me to improve my content and my videos. Also, if you enjoy the channel, please subscribe, like, and of course click the notification bells so you never miss another episode. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.